Have you ever lost everything because of one unfair decision, yet still chose to be kind? Most people would walk away with anger in their hearts. But sometimes, the smallest act of kindness becomes the beginning of the greatest miracle. Today's story is about a young single father who never stopped helping an elderly neighbor, even after losing the job that supported his little family. What happened when the front door opened one rainy evening changed every life involved forever. Before we begin, if you enjoy heartwarming stories that remind us kindness still exists, please subscribe to Kindness Matters, like this video, and leave a comment telling us where you're watching from. Your support helps us share more inspiring stories with people around the world. At 28 years old, Ethan Carter had already learned that life could change overnight. He was raising his 6-year-old daughter, Lily, by himself after his wife had passed away from an illness 3 years earlier. Every morning before sunrise, Ethan packed Lily's lunch, dropped her off at school, and worked long hours as a project coordinator at a large technology company. Ethan wasn't rich, but he was proud that he could provide a safe home for his daughter. His neighbors admired him because no matter how busy he was, he always smiled and offered help whenever someone needed it. Living next door was 81-year-old Mrs. Eleanor Brooks. She had no family nearby and struggled with everyday tasks. Ethan noticed she had difficulty carrying groceries, mowing the lawn, and taking out the trash. Without ever expecting anything in return, he began stopping by every evening. Sometimes he fixed a broken shelf. Other days he changed light bulbs, brought fresh groceries, or simply sat with her while she talked about memories from long ago. Lily loved visiting too. She often drew colorful pictures that made Mrs. Brooks laugh like a little girl again. Then one terrible Friday changed everything. The company's new CEO, 30-year-old Victoria Reynolds, visited the office for the first time after taking over the business. She wanted immediate budget cuts and believed some departments had become unnecessary. Ethan's team was among those affected. He tried explaining how their work supported hundreds of employees, but Victoria barely looked at him. "I'm sorry," she said firmly. "Your position has been eliminated. Security will help you collect your things." Just like that, Ethan lost the only income supporting his daughter. Walking to his car with a small cardboard box in his hands, he felt defeated. But when he arrived home that evening, Mrs. Brooks waved from her porch. "Ethan," she smiled gently, "would you mind helping me bring in my groceries?" He forced a smile. Of course. Not once did he mention losing his job. Over the next several weeks, Ethan searched everywhere for work. Bills piled higher each day, and his savings slowly disappeared. Still, every evening he continued helping Mrs. Brooks, just as he always had. One rainy Tuesday, he noticed water leaking through her roof. Although he had little money left, he borrowed tools from a friend and spent nearly 6 hours repairing it himself. Mrs. Brooks thanked him with tears in her eyes. "You've given me more kindness than anyone ever has." Ethan simply replied, "Neighbors take care of each other." A few days later, Mrs. Brooks suddenly became very ill. She called Ethan because she didn't know who else to trust. Without hesitation, he rushed her to the hospital while Lily waited safely with another neighbor. Doctors said she would recover, but she couldn't return home alone immediately. "I'll check on your house every day," Ethan promised. For nearly 2 weeks, he watered her flowers, collected her mail, paid her utility bills using money she had left behind, and made sure everything stayed in perfect condition. The day Mrs. Brooks returned home, she smiled mysteriously. "My granddaughter is finally coming to visit tomorrow," she said. "I'd love for you and Lily to meet her." The next afternoon, Ethan baked homemade cookies with Lily before walking next door. Mrs. Brooks opened the door with a bright smile. "I've been waiting for you." As they stepped inside, another woman walked into the hallway. Ethan froze. Standing only a few feet away was Victoria Reynolds, the CEO who had fired him. Victoria looked equally shocked. "Ethan." Mrs. Brooks looked confused. "You two know each other?" Neither answered immediately. Finally, Victoria spoke softly. I let him go." Mrs. Brooks' smile disappeared. "This is the young man I've been telling you about every week. The single father who fixed my roof. The man who drives me to appointments. The one who never asks for anything." Victoria slowly looked around the house. She noticed the repaired shelves, the freshly painted porch, the beautiful flower garden, the family photos Lily had framed for Mrs. Brooks. "You did all this?" she whispered. Ethan nodded quietly. I just wanted to help. Mrs. Brooks gently held her granddaughter's hand. You've spent years building successful companies, she said. But this young man has spent weeks rebuilding someone's hope. Victoria couldn't hide her emotions anymore. She admitted she had made decisions based only on numbers and reports, never taking time to know the people behind them. I'm truly sorry, she said. I judged you without ever understanding who you were. A week later, Ethan received an unexpected phone call. Victoria invited him back to the company, not to his old position, but as community relations manager, leading employee volunteer programs and neighborhood outreach projects. His salary was higher, his schedule was more flexible, and he could spend more evenings with Lily. This time, Victoria listened carefully to every employee. She created new programs encouraging workers to volunteer in their local communities. The company became known not only for business success, but also for compassion. Months later, Ethan, Lily, Mrs. Brooks, and Victoria stood together at the opening of a community center funded by the company. Mrs. Brooks smiled proudly as children played nearby. You know, she said, kindness has a funny way of finding its way home. Ethan looked at Lily, who was helping another little girl tie her shoes. He realized kindness had become something much bigger than a single good deed. It had inspired an entire community. If Ethan had allowed bitterness to replace compassion after losing his job, none of this would have happened. His simple decision to keep helping an elderly neighbor changed not only his own future, but also the heart of the person who once turned him away. So remember this whenever life feels unfair. Kindness is never wasted. Every helping hand, every encouraging word, and every selfless act plants a seed that may grow in ways you never expect. Keep choosing kindness, because the good you give today may become the miracle someone, including you, needs tomorrow.